Hi, welcome to another Magic the Gathering Arena video. In this one it's a bit different. I actually won't be playing any matches. They had a recent update which has actually improved the deck building capabilities, which some people might not have noticed. I'm sure it would hopefully have been in the patch notes, but who knows? Who reads patch notes these days? The biggest one I found was the zoom in and zoom out. So when you're in an actual deck build, you can zoom out now. So it gives you a lot more screen real estate. One thing I found with the Magic the Gathering, or the Arena, is that if you have a higher resolution, it actually scales okay, and you see a little bit more, especially when you're playing the game. I played on my Galaxy book, and it has, like, I think it's 2500 by 1600 resolution, and you see a lot more of the top bits of the game board. So in the actual deck builder now, you can zoom in and out, which is good. You can actually also too, via this option here, display what can be crafted. Now, one thing that you have to make sure is that in this mode it will automatically try to craft a new card based on if you have the wild cards to craft it. The additional feature that they added, which in the past you weren't able to do, you're able to add cards to your deck that you do not have. What you need to do is display not collected, but not the craft mode, and it will actually add it to your deck and indicate that it's missing, which then you can actually use the craft all, and I think if you have cards in there that you cannot craft because you do not have the appropriate amount of wild cards, it will only craft what you have, of course, and of course you can just delete them by clicking on them. Once they're in there, you can press the plus button and it will increase the count. You can also do that if you only have a certain number. So if you add in here, I've only got 3, but I've selected 4, it will automatically add in that you need to get that one, that you need wild cards, or you can get them in cards in opening your decks and stuff like that. Sideboard displays as normal, you can switch between the two. The other added benefit of the update was the details view is slightly different now than the past. It gives you what type of creature they are. This is good for tribal decks, so you know if you're, for example, if I go to my discard changes, if I go to my Vampire Legion deck, where you use things like Radiant Destiny and Vanquish's Banner, you need to assign them to vampires. So you see that the majority of the creatures in this deck are vampires. The other interesting feature that some might miss is the drop down menu over here. This is where you can actually specify the limitations to the deck that you're building. It will also add that flag to the deck once you've saved it, so you can actually sort and filter that in the front area of the deck. So for example, if I set this to singleton deck, it will flag that I've got more than one of each of the cards and register it as being invalid. So of course this one here is standard. Now, because of things like the recent banning of Nexus of Fate, you will have standard and you'll have traditional standard, which is a best of 3, and standard is the best of 1. So you will have to specify between those two if you have specific banned types within Arena. For a new player, that will be actually quite difficult, even for a semi-veteran player. If you're not aware of it, if you're just coming into the game, you might not understand why some of your decks aren't able to be played in certain formats. But within that, you can set it. This one here is a standard. I set it as such, and I save that. When you're in your actual deck, you can then, and this populates with the type of decks that you've saved. For example, recently we had a Ravnica block constructed event, and I created, I think, 1 or 2 decks that had it. Where are you? And I named them appropriately, and they're not showing. Why aren't they showing? All decks, where are you? Interesting. I'm sure I had all decks, other decks. Yeah. So for example, I marked this one as, if you go into edit deck, I marked it as Ravnica block, which puts it into a separate section. You can then search by that in the future, or yeah, if you need to pull out certain ones and know what you've got, then you can actually, like at the moment we have a singleton event. These are the singleton decks that I have, and you can sort by that. So they are improving the deck building capabilities. The one thing that I wish they would improve or allow is when you're in this view, if you could shift this divider, because sometimes you only really need one, and it would allow you to see all the appropriate cards that you have. Switching between the two, yeah. If you could drag that up, and once again you can zoom in, zoom out, select a craft. Yeah, so they are improving it, which is a massive change to previous versions, and allows you to sort your decks. When I'm playing, I recommend using a third-party tool called MTGArena Pro, and that actually keeps a track of your decks, your win-loss ratio, even for decks that you do not have the all the cards for. It lets you know how many wild cards you need, the average amount of packs you would need to open to meet the requirements to have wild cards, stuff like that. Win loss, it tracks your vault and the like. So it's certainly a great tool, and I highly recommend it. But yeah, they're working on the deck building, making it a bit easier for us, and hopefully they will improve overall and make it a better game, which is quite polished. So yeah, enjoy your Arena games, and I will speak to you soon. Thanks for watching.